This result and this performance should be a sackable offense. How do you take a team's most prized asset and still be outplayed from them and lose to them? Leicester City 3, Manchester United 1, and we are out of the FA Cup. That result was coming. It was coming, guys. For weeks we have been performing poorly. For weeks, the only good performance that we've had was against Manchester City. Before that and even after that, we have been performing poorly, and this was coming. You can only get away with poor performances for so long. This was coming, and there's no excuses. There's no excuses of even the manager coming and say his players are fatigued. There's no excuses because we had a full strength squad out there apart from Marcus Rashford. Let me read for you the number of players that Leicester had out. Leicester had Maddison, Barnes, Under, Ricardo Pereira and James Justin. All those players out, with Maddison and Barnes being part of their first 11. Those players they had out, and yet they still outplayed us and won the game. They outplayed us from minute one. The only time we were ahead of them and got a bit of control was when we brought on our substitutions. That control only lasted for about 10 minutes. After that, Leicester maintained their control in the game. Now, I don't know what you guys say, but for me, I can't accept a team that has less quality than Man United on paper, and that a manager has been there in less time than Oli has been there, for us to be outplayed by that manager and that club. I can't accept that. We have much better players than Leicester on paper. On paper, Leicester should not even be a challenge for us. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spent more money than Brendan Rodgers. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been at the club longer than Brendan Rodgers has been at Leicester. Yet we played them in the FA Cup and they outplayed us and they beat us. And that is unacceptable for me. That is unacceptable because Leicester are not a world-class team, but they've got world-class training. They've got world-class training. Their manager is world-class. Brendan Rodgers is probably top 3 best coaches in England, best manager in England. First is Pep, second is Klopp, and then it's Brendan Rodgers. Rodgers is a prime example of getting the best out of players. Ollie's not getting the best out of these players. These players are carrying Ollie. The only thing that is helping this club and is sustaining this club is the quality of players that we have. Because the management, even from the top management all the way down to Ollie and the coaches, are really at a low level. And if you ask me, our coaching and our manager is probably championship level. I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably championship level. Michael Carrick, this is his first time coaching. Kieran McKenna was coaching in the reserves. Mick Phelan is done out here. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was managing in Molde. Come on, guys, this is not a formula for success. None of those coaches or even a manager tells you that we are going to be successful. We got outplayed in large parts of the game. Large parts of the game. The only time where we gained control of the game was when we made that flurry of substitutions with Bruno Fernandes, Cavani, McTominay, Luke Shaw. That flurry of substitutions, that's the only time we gained control of the game and we looked like we were going to score. But that only lasted for about 10 minutes. After those 10 minutes, Leicester regained control of the game and they scored their goals. So for me, I can't excuse the fact, guys, that Ollie has spent more money than Brendan Rodgers. Ollie took Brendan Rodgers' prized asset in Harry Maguire. Ollie has been at the club longer than Brendan Rodgers has been at Leicester, and Leicester not only beat us, because that can happen, but Leicester outplayed us. And Leicester have a clear identity, a clear style of play and a clear system, and we still don't have that. After all these years that Ollie has been at the club, which is 2.5 years, and after all the hundreds of millions that he has spent, we still don't know how to play football. Leicester were much more composed on the ball. You clearly could see that they knew what they were doing on the ball. Can you say that about Man United? I can't say that. Whenever I look at Man United play, it's always off the cuff. It's always individual brilliance, hoping individual brilliance can bail us out. And that's one of the reasons, guys, that this manager doesn't make early substitutions and tactical substitutions, because he generally doesn't understand the game that he's watching. He has no clue what he's watching, because if you know what you're watching, you will know how to affect the game. You will know what the game is lacking. But if you don't know what you're watching, that's why he can't make a substitute, because he does not know what the game requires. Oli has never made a tactical substitution that has won us the game or improved our game. He's never. Over the last few weeks, the substitutes that he has made was forced substitutions because players were injured. For example, in the AC Milan game that we just played, he took off Marcus Rashford, he brought on Paul Pogba. That was a forced substitute because Rashford is injured. The previous week, the first game of the tie, in the first leg against AC Milan, he took off Martial, he brought on Diallo. Martial was injured. These are forced substitutions. These are not tactical substitutions. So once again, all roads point to the manager. It's inexcusable and unforgivable that after so many years he's been at the club and over so many hundreds of millions of pounds that he has spent, that United still can't play football and we get knocked out of a quarter-final to Leicester when we took their most prized asset and we spent more money than them. I can't forgive that. I'm sorry. And we wanted to win the FA Cup. We knocked out of the FA Cup. So now we only got Europa. But if you ask me, Europa, we're not supposed to be there. So I'm not counting Europa as a success when we win it. Because believe in me, I think and I know United will win Europa. Because we are the biggest club in Europa. We've got the best players in Europa. We spent the most money. And with those conditions, we should win Europa. And I'm not saying we're going to win Europa based on the manager. No, we're going to win Europa based on the players. Because our players are so good. These players are carrying this manager. We are where we are in the league because of the players. It's not because of the manager. This manager has no clue what he's doing. The minute Manchester United comes up against an opponent of quality, we always fail. And the minute the rubber meets the road, we always fail. And people say it's a mentality. People say, oh, United don't have mentality. They say the players don't have mentality. But guys, mentality comes from the manager. The manager sets mentality in players. Look at Liverpool. Mohamed Salah never won anything before he came to Liverpool. He was a Chelsea reject. Sadio Mane never won anything. Van Dijk never won anything. Bobby Firmino never won anything. All these players did not win anything. But because Jurgen Klopp was a winner, he won in Germany. He came with a winning mindset and translated that mindset to the players. We don't have a manager that's a winner. Our manager was winning in Molde, guys. In Molde, in Norway. It's not one of Europe's main leagues. By the way, Molde made it to the round of 16 in the Europa. That's the first time they ever made it to round of 16. Which tells you that the club is still successful even after Oli. So Oli weren't doing a fantastic job there. But even if he was, guys, that's Norway. He's come now to the Premier League. It's his second time in the Premier League. He was at Cardiff before and he relegated Cardiff. He's at United. We've given him ample time and we've given him ample money. Do you know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spent the most money, more than any other manager, but ever since he came into this league with Man United? He spent the most money ever since he came in. So we expect him to be winning trophies. He's gonna do, for me, he will do it at Europa, but I can't count Europa. As I said, we're not supposed to be there. It is failure that is the reason we're in Europa. It's like if a club gets relegated from the Premier League to the Championship, and they win the Championship and come back to the Premier League. Are you going to give that manager credit and say, oh, he won a trophy, he won the league? No, he wasn't supposed to get relegated in the first place. And you're going to sack him because he got relegated in the Premier League. So that's the same mindset you have to keep with the Champions League. It is embarrassing that we got knocked out of the Champions League and we're in Europa. It's embarrassing, and that in and of itself, getting knocked out, is a sackable offense. It's a sackable offense. This performance we threw out against Leicester was embarrassing because Leicester outplayed us. For majority of the game, Leicester outplayed us. They had an identity. They had a tactical approach to the game. They were in control of the whole game. And that's embarrassing, guys. It's embarrassing. And just let me speak on the players and I'll go through the players. I'll give you player ratings as well. Dean Henderson, people are saying that Dean Henderson was at fault for Tielemans' goal, for the second goal. For me, you know, that's really clutching at straws there. Maybe he was, maybe he weren't, but Tielemans should have never drove all the way that he did with the ball. Our midfield should have stopped him. If the midfield did not stop him, the defender should have stopped him. So before he even took that shot, I'm looking at other players before I look at Dean Henderson. But I'll give Dean Henderson probably a 5. People are saying he's at mistake for the goal and whatsoever. You know, I'll give him a 5. It's normally a 6 for a keeper, but I'll give him a 5. There were many goals that were scored, 3 goals, and he was partially, maybe he could have done better for the Tielemans' goal. So I'm going to give him a 5. Wan-Bissaka, we did not see the normal performance. We saw a normal performance from Wan-Bissaka. Defensively, he's sound. He's sound defensively. No one really got past him defensively. But going forward, he offers nothing. He's got no technical ability. So people, you may look at it and say may look at it and say, okay, we are seeing Wan-Bissaka up the field, but he's not doing anything up the field because he got no technical ability, guys. His ball control is so poor. His footballing IQ in attacking phase is so poor. So that's just Wan-Bissaka. I'm going to give Wan-Bissaka probably a 6, just based on he was okay defensively, but offensively he gave us nothing. I'm going to give him a 6. Victor Lindelof, I'll give Victor Lindelof a 6 as well. I thought Victor Lindelof was the better of the 2 centre-backs. And I do think Victor Lindelof is better than Harry Maguire. I'm going to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. Don't get me wrong. They are both standard defenders. They are both just good defenders. Not one of them are top class and not world class, and they don't have potential to be world class. They're just good defenders, but I thought Victor Lindelof was better on the night, so I'm going to give Victor Lindelof a 6. Harry Maguire was at fault. You look at the first goal, people look at Fred, but let's look before that. Harry Maguire passed the ball to Fred. How can you pass the ball to a player that's marked? You know, I can understand making that pass if we're in the middle of the field. You can make that pass, because if a player loses the ball in the middle of the field, it's not directly going to lead to a goal. I don't understand making that pass to a player that's on the edge of your own box. I expect you to be able to think better. First of all, you don't make that pass. It doesn't matter who is there in front of you. You don't make that pass because there was a player at the back of Fred. That's the first thing. Then you understand who you're passing to. You're not passing to a Paul Pogba or Bruno Fernandes or even a Scott McTominay, who can get away from pressure from time to time. You're passing the ball to Fred, a player that does not handle pressure well. The minute you pressure Fred, you will get the ball. You will get the ball. He's frantic. I don't know if you've seen him play, but he's frantic with the ball. He's all over. He moves too fast. It's like he's scared of the opposition. Remember when we were younger? We were probably maybe under 11s. We were playing under 11s, under 9s. You were scared when the opposition came to you. You literally wanted to give the ball off as quick as you could. Not because you want to play 1 and 2 touch football, but because you were scared of the opposition. And that's how I see Fred playing. It's like he's scared of the opposition. So Harry Maguire should have countered these things and understood these things and not make that pass. So because Harry made that pass, and because in the game I was seeing Harry Maguire getting turned, Jamie Vardy put the ball between Harry Maguire's legs, and then he missed that shot which he should have scored. I'm going to give Maguire a 4. I'm just going to give him a 4. It was a good performance. Over these last couple of weeks, he's been solid, he's been sound. But this is Harry Maguire, guys. And this, for me, is why I say the transfer of Harry Maguire was probably our worst transfer that we've ever made. He wasn't the worst player we signed. No, not by a long shot. But the transfer, because when you're judging a transfer, you judge it on the basis of his transfer fee and his ability. And those two things need to speak to one another. And Harry Maguire is a 40 million player, and we signed him for double that amount of 80 million. So when you look at the fee that we paid and you look at his ability, that he's not world class, neither does he have potential to be world class. He's just an average good defender, but we paid a world record fee for him, it has to go down as one of the worst transfers. I don't care how many minutes he plays, because United put up these stats to make it look good, and the pundits, because he's a fellow Englishman, they don't want to speak against the Englishman, so they make it look good, and they say, oh, Harry Maguire's played the most minutes out of any player in Europe. It doesn't matter about that, guys. He's not at the level that we require 80 million player to be of. Look at the mistakes he made during this game. And he does this. He does this on a continuous basis. Like every second, third game, he makes these mistakes. Some games he gets away with it. Today he did not. So I'm going to give him a 4. I really, people say that we are in the market for a centre-back. In the summer, we are going to sign a centre-back. But there's a good case of that centre-back being Victor Lindelof's partner and not Harry Maguire's partner. But it won't happen like that, guys, because Oli has spent 80 million on Maguire. You cannot bench an 80 million player, and you just have to understand that. And it's Oli signing, so he doesn't want to look like he made a bad signing. So I'm going to give Harry Maguire a 4. Alex Telles, I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think it was good enough from Telles. And people need to settle the debate if there is any right now. Luke Shaw is better than Telles. For me, Telles is not good enough defensively. When you come to the Premier League, you have to be a very good defender. When you're playing in the back line, obviously, you have to be a very good defender, and I don't think Telles is a very good defender. He made a block in the first half, which is a very good block, but apart from that, I don't think he's a very good defender, and I never see him get forward that much. So I'm going to give him a 5. I'm just going to give him a 5. Going into the midfield, let me start with Matic before I go to the other guy. Matic, guys, I think Matic is done out here. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Matic is done at this level of football in the Premier League. I think Matic can go to Italy, a slower league, and I think he can do very well still in Italy for about 2 more years. He can still do very well in Italy, playing as a CDM for 2 more years. I think he can go to Inter Milan or AC Milan, those type of teams. I think he can go there and do very well. But at this level in the Premier League, with the speed that the teams play at, I don't think Matic is any good for us anymore. He's 32 years old and turning 33 this year, and our manager gave him a 3-year contract. A 3-year contract extension. That's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave him. And that's why I always say all roads point to the manager. Our lack of system, our lack of style of play points to the manager. The substitutions that we are not able to do points to the manager. The fact that there's large amounts of players playing below their ability, it points to the manager. And even when you look at the contract extensions, it points to the manager. We should have never gave Matic a 3-year contract. If you're asking me, we should have let go of Matic. Sell him or let him go on a free. Sell him, see what you can get for him. Maybe you could have got a 10 million. 10 million is good money still for a player like Matic, and it is money as well. So we should have looked to sell Matic. But the fact that we gave him a 3-year contract, it shows you that this club really don't understand what they're doing. So I think Matic is done out here. We were getting bypassed so many times in the midfield. It's like we had no midfield during this game. Telemans, Ndidi, they were just bypassing our midfield. They were dominating our midfield. Ndidi was winning everything. Telemans is good on the ball. We understand that. But they just dominated our midfield. And the truth of the matter is those 2 guys are better than the midfielders that we have. The only midfielders that we have that are better is obviously Pogba, Donny, and Bruno. Donny doesn't play much. But yeah, when you're talking about Scott McTominay, Matic, and Fred, Ndidi and Telemans are much better than those guys. So they bypassed our midfield, and our midfield was probably the most poorest performance of the whole team. They really let us down in this game. So I'm going to give Matic I'm going to give him a 4. I don't think he done well. I think the game just bypassed him too much. Probably a 4. I'm going to give Fred a 2. It was an alarming performance from Fred. Before Fred gave away that goal, he misplaced 2 passes before that. So in the space of 10 minutes, Fred made those 3 horrific passes. The last one caused the goal. He weren't good. It wasn't a good performance from Fred. And but Fred is not a good passer of the ball. Fred gone past the ball, he gone past the ball, and he doesn't do well under pressure. The minute you press Fred, you will get the ball. And I don't know what we're going to do, guys, because we are not linked with any midfielder to sign any midfielder. We linked to the centre back, we linked to the right winger, and we linked to the striker. But we are not linked to the midfielder. And that's alarming, because who are we going to play in the midfield next season? Because Fred, McTominay, Matic are not good enough. So who are we going to play? It's up to Oli to get Donny van de Beek, Paul Pogba and Bruno in that midfield and try make something happen. Or even if you don't want to include Donny, but you have to put Pogba in the midfield and you have to release the shackles and play him as a number 8. But Oli won't do that because Oli's a negative and a defensive manager. He's not an attacking manager. He plays with 2 holding midfielders. So I don't know what we're going to do, guys. I don't know what we're going to do, but we've got a problem in the midfield. We've got a marked problem in the midfield. And I'm going to give Fred, what did I say? I'm going to give Fred a 2. It is a shocking performance from Fred, but once again, I say all roads lead back to the manager. Fred had a shocking first half. He should have never came out that door for the second half. The fact that he came back out for the second half points to the manager. And do you know what time the manager made the substitution of Fred? He took Fred off on the 83rd minute when Leicester had scored their 3rd goal. It was 3-1, game over. He took Fred off. How do you do that? You're taking the worst player off on the pitch when the game is lost. When we still were competing in the game at 2-1. That was the time you should have taken Fred off. Even 1-1 you should have taken Fred off. So really, this manager, guys, all roads point to the manager. So Fred was the worst performer on the night. And then you look at Paul Pogba. I give Paul Pogba a 6. I give him a 6. You can clearly see he's not 100% match fit. You can clearly see that. That's why I only took him off, I think, on the 60th minute. He never get taken off, guys, because he was poor. He wasn't poor. No, he weren't. He got taken off because he's not fit enough. So I'm going to give him a 6. You know, without his involved, he had a big involvement in the goal. Without his action, there was no goal. He beat that defender, then he put that cross in, and Donny dummied it. I'm going to talk about that. But I'm going to give Paul Pogba a 6. I think it was a steady performance from Pogba. He's not match fit as yet, but he gave what he could, and he did have an involvement, and he got an assist. That goes down as an assist because Donny dummied it, so that goes down as an assist for Pogba. So for me, it was an okay performance from Paul Pogba. You know, we look at Donny van de Beek. Now I'm going to give Donny I'm going to give him a 5. I can't give him the same rating as Pogba. It's hard because I did see moments from Pogba, but of Donny, I didn't see too much. I saw Donny play conservative passes. You know, especially in the first half, he was making the wrong choices of his passes. He was going back instead of forward, and that's not Donny. But that's because Donny is low in confidence, and you can understand it. And now this rating of 5, guys, is not me saying Donny is a bad player. It's just saying this performance that he gave out as a number 10, I don't think it was good enough. He gave that dummy, which that dummy is world class. And those are dummies that there's only probably, I can say 3 players can make it. It's him, it's Bruno, it's Pogba, and maybe Martial 4. Maybe Martial, 4 players. No one else in our team does dummies. To do a dummy like that, you have to have high football intelligence, high football IQ, because you have to know there's a player behind you, and you have to know when I'm leaving this ball, I'm trusting that this ball is going to go directly to that player, and I know that the opposition won't get this ball. You have to have high football IQ. And when you look at how Real Madrid and Barcelona and how even Man City and all these teams play, they play with dummies. They're always dummying the ball in the midfield, in attacking positions. They're always dummying the ball. And dummies are something you don't see from United because we don't have intelligent footballers. We've got a limited amount of intelligent footballers, and Donny is one of them, the intelligent footballers. So that dummy for me was very good. And I love dummies. Anytime a player does a dummy, I love it. Paul Pogba done a few dummies this season. Bruno done that one dummy before he scored that goal, that out of the box lob. So, but I'm going to give Donny, as I said, a 5. I don't think it was overall a good performance from Donny. But I can expect that from Donny. I did not expect Donny to boss the game. I did not expect it. Understand Donny's coming back from injury, but most importantly, Donny has not been getting game time at United. So his confidence is low. He's playing with baggage at the back of him, knowing that I need to perform, because if I don't perform, Bruno Fernandes is coming and taking my place, and he's got all this weight on his back. So I did not expect Donny to do anything in this game. So I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think it was a very good performance from Donny. As I'm saying, I can't give him the same rating as Pogba because I did see what Pogba was trying to do. And I did see Pogba get on the ball and pinging some balls, crossfield balls as well. So I can't give him the same. So I'm going to give him a 5. Mason Greenwood, I'm going to give Mason, he scored the goal and he looked a bit lively. But I'm going to give him a 6. A 6.5. I'm not going to give him a 7. I don't think any player deserves a 7. I'm going to give him probably a 6.5. But what I will say is he was our better player. He was our better player on the night. He scored the goal and he did want to make things happen. He was our better player on the night. It's not easy for him because he also doesn't have much confidence. And when you look at his overall gameplay, he has to improve it. He needs to improve his overall game. I have been seeing an improvement in the last 2 weeks. He needs to kick on and continue that. Martial lacks service. There's absolutely no service for Martial. Once again, Martial was drifting to the left. Martial was drifting to the left wing. And that's why people say, is Martial really a number 9? If you ask me, I don't think he's a good enough number 9 for United. I think United need the best in class, especially in the number 9 position. And so I think we need an out-and-out gunman. An out-and-out gunman like a Erling Haaland, someone like that. That's what we need. But I can't fault Martial for this performance because there was no service given to him. So I'm going to give him a 5. I never see too much from Martial. I'm going to give him a 5. The manager's rating, I'm going to give the manager a 2. I'm going to give the manager a lower rating than... No, I give the manager a 1. I'm going to give the manager a lower rating than Fred because the manager decided to keep Fred on to 83 minutes. The manager had no game plan. He literally just puts the team out there and hope that they do a job. There's no game plan. There's no tactic for the team on that night, on that day. How are we going to approach Leicester? How are we going to negate Leicester and maximize their weaknesses and lower their strengths? There's nothing like that. I'm giving this manager, what did I say, a 1. I have to give him a 1. He was poor from this manager. And for me, he needs to be facing the sack. But do I think he'll get sacked? No, I don't. So, guys, that's my match review. You know, I can go on and on and on. I can go on because it is a shambolic performance. And as I'm saying, the reason why I'm giving a manager such a low rating, a 1, because we got knocked out by Leicester. We never supposed to be knocked out by Leicester. We took Leicester's most prized asset. We're never supposed to be outplayed by Leicester. Outplayed. That's a concern. And the substitutions were not at the right time. There was wrong substitutions. We're supposed to take Fred off earlier. We did not take Fred off. Even when the substitutes came on, they huffed and they puffed, but it was only for a certain amount of minutes before Leicester really had the ball because we don't have a system. So all roads lead back to this manager. He's totally clueless. Totally clueless as to how to coach. We don't know how to coach. I never see a sustained pressure, even pressing, off the ball pressing. I didn't see United pressing. I never see United pressing, and it's an alarming thing for me. So guys, that's my match review. I'm not happy. For me, the manager needs to get sacked. He needed to get sacked last season for me because I foresaw these things coming. I can see that this manager is not good enough. The only reason he's at the club because we've got owners and a CEO that has no clue what he's doing. And we've got a sporting director that should not even be there in the first place. I don't even want to talk about him. But this manager should never also be there. With the coaching staff, this is failure. This got failure all written over it. It's not good enough. We're the laughing stock in Europe. And guys, that's my match review. I'll catch you for the next game. I'm out of here. Peace.